the Olympic team?
Well, basically, I kind of wanted to go out in the top third of the pack and just kind of tuck in and conserve as much energy as possible because it was a little bit windy before the race. Ended up finding myself in second place after Dan Hewling took over the lead and kind of just sat right behind him, again, conserving as much energy as possible. And going into the second to last water jump, kind of got a little bit of a jump on Dan, past him going over the pit, and found myself in the lead with 500 to go, and then just tried to push it from there, and was able to hold up. I was strong enough over the last lap to secure first place, and looked back after the last barrier and knew that I had it, and just like pure elation came over me and just got a big smile on my face. Knew I was going to London, and smiled across the finish line and was just ecstatic.
How the race played out? I wanted to do a much better job today than I did in the prelims at dealing with the pack and being in contention. I think I feel much better when I'm up toward the front and can see the rest of the track in front of me, and I have a better idea of where I am on the track. And so I got out up near the front in the beginning and ended up taking the lead at one point, which I didn't want to do. But I actually had a really good water jump, so I just kind of found myself in the front. And then some people passed me because I kind of slowed up and let people come in front of me. And so I was probably in fourth for a good portion of the middle of the race, I think. And I just wanted to not let any gaps form. But I think it was Evan and Dan who went off the front a little bit. And I started to get a little frustrated with myself for letting this gap form and having this comfort zone. So I started to push it and try and close that. But I think it was Kyle who kept holding me off and kept surging with my surges. And so I never ended up able to close the gap because they just kept pressing as much as I did. But then later in the race, I felt good in the last lap, or in the penultimate lap, I think it was, and got in position. Felt great coming into the last 400, except for the fact that I almost hit a hurdle and went down. Other than that, I felt great and just closed hard. And I actually, once I got out of the water, I knew I was making it to London and kind of forgot about that last hurdle and was kind of celebrating inside about it, and then got over the last one, and then I was never been happier with a second place finish in my life.
Kyle?
It was a battle, let's say, for 7.5 laps. Going into the race, my main focus was to make sure that I was there when that break happened. I always, typically in the steeple, there's a move made, a hard move by somebody made with 3 laps or a K to go. And so I kind of figured that move was going to be made, and Dan made that move with about a K to go. He started to make a surge, and so that's usually where I've faltered in the past, and it's costed me to be third place or even worse. And so, I just wanted to make sure I stuck with that major that move right there. And so, when it came to that point, I was happy with myself where I stuck my nose up in there, stuck with it. And I knew if I went to the bell lap, I had a good shot at being top 3 and maybe even winning this thing because I usually rely on my kick pretty heavily, but they definitely ran it out of me. I think those last 3 laps were tough laps, and I just gave it everything I had that last lap to just to kind of really hang on to third at that point. I tried to make my move to get up to the second or first, but it wasn't happening. So coming down that home stretch was a little hairy. That last water jump, my legs were feeling pretty weak, but it worked out for me. Coming down that home stretch, I had a little breathing room, and it was just super exciting to come down that home stretch and just, finish third, but knowing that I'm going to London.
Thanks, guys. We'll now open it up for questions.
Evan, we talked the other day about winning races and the kind of confidence they gave you to win races. What was the feeling like when you turned around and saw that there was a big enough gap that you could kind of play to the crowd a little bit and have some fun?
Yeah. I don't know. It was obviously it's not something that you get to do very often. Most races that I run aren't really big enough where if I were to do that, I would just kind of look like a jackass. and and this again, it's been one of probably 3 or 4 races that I've won in the last 3 or 4 years. So don't really get the opportunity to do that. And coming off that last hurdle, most importantly, I was looking back just to make sure I had a spot on the Olympic team secured. And when I saw that I had a little gap between me and second place, it was, I don't know, it was awesome. Basically knowing that I was on the team and winning again, like getting that win was just an incredible feeling. And you have the Hayward crowd, and they were just egging me on. And so I kind of just played into it and really fully embraced the experience that I was being a part of and kind of just enjoyed it as much as I could.